And we are back as we navigate life's complexities, particularly in our later years. The questions we face can often feel overwhelming. But what if there was a guide to help us celebrate and thrive in this later stage of life? Well, in a groundbreaking new book, our next guest offers a roadmap and provides invaluable insights into longevity, brain health, financial planning, and the importance of relationships and social engagement. We are pleased now to be joined by the Executive Vice President and Chief Public Policy Officer of AARP, Debra Whitman. And Debra, glad to have you.
Thanks so much.
And when we look at where we are today, obviously Americans are living longer, trying to enjoy life. And talk to me about the importance of having a positive mindset.
So it's really important. I think most people think about things like having a healthy diet and exercise and not smoking as keys to longevity and being healthy. But our mindset actually matters just as much. If we have a positive view on aging, if we think of aging as a time of purpose and knowledge, we live 7.5 years longer. Our health is better, and even our brain volume is higher, and we have lower risk for dementia.
Well, I think about aging and I think about longevity. One of the things that comes to mind is better eating, better exercise, all of that. Never did I ever get to the place where I really thought about a zip code, but somehow a zip code plays into this as well.
Yeah, there is huge disparities in how long people will live based on where they live. So your zip code now is probably more important than your genetic code. We have counties across the country, um, in Colorado, where they live 20 years longer than in counties in South Dakota. So looking across the population, it's not that people are different, it's that where they live and the environments they live really affect our health and longevity.
Yeah. And when we have people who are growing older, obviously being a caregiver is a unique thing for many families because some are just being thrust into it for the first time, never thinking that you'd ever have to be a caregiver, but you are. Share me a little bit about how and some advice that we could have for particularly caring for some of our aging relatives.
Yeah, it just takes a fall from your mom to get a phone call that's going to really change your life. And for most people, they either are a caregiver, they were a caregiver, or maybe one day they'll need care themselves. What I advise is to really be part of the conversations that your loved one is having with their healthcare provider so that you understand both their needs, physical needs and health needs, but also what are the needs when they get back home and how can you help support them? And then what tools are available in your area that can help support you?
Yeah. Yeah. Deborah Whitman is the author also of the book, The Second 50. It's answers to the 7 big questions of midlife and beyond. And when we talk about midlife, we hear that word midlife crisis, but you got a couple of answers. Do you mind sharing a couple more?
Sure. One thing to know is actually we're less happy midlife than we are in later life. 9 out of 10 people over age 50 are both hopeful about their future and generally very are pretty happy. So there's a lot to look forward to.
And when we talk about looking forward to, the later years of life, sometimes for a person that's living it, it's hard fetched because there's this mental anxiety about, hey, I'm getting older, I'm getting older. But talk to us a little bit about that. And what are some of the things that you're noticing about those persons who are aging, but yet and still are able to turn the curve and have a more healthy and more, fluid life?
So, one of the areas that most people worry about is losing their memory. In fact, half of us think that that's an inevitable part of aging. But in reality, only 15% of people, even in their late 70s, have even mild cognitive impairment. And there's a lot that we can do to lower our risk factors, things like eating right and exercising, keeping our brains well used by doing activities that challenge us, making sure that we are connected with others. Loneliness and isolation is the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So there's lots of empowerment that I try to talk through in the book of giving people the facts and then letting them know what they can do to improve their lives.
You know, you made me feel so much better because, you know, when you think about losing your keys, you think, okay, am I losing my mind? Now, every time you turn around, you lose your keys, you feel like you're having this little complex here. But the reality is, for so many people, um, connection, particularly after COVID, has been diminished. We know that we can now do things virtually, we can social distance, and many people are really socially distancing by socially distancing as a form of saying, I really just don't want to be bothered with people these days. But you've outlined and said there's this value in connection and also longevity that's attached.
Yeah, our relationships really matter. I talked to a Harvard professor that did one of the longest studies of people in the country. And he looked at healthy people in their 80s and said, well, what happened in their 50s? What made these people healthy? And it was the quality of their relationships. And so, invest in your new friends, invest in your forever friends, even just chatting up the person as they're checking you out in the checkout line, all of those things, we don't think of them as health behaviors, but they really are.
Yeah, we have some public policy that's out there really supporting older adults, and I want to get an opportunity to hear from you some things that potentially maybe we should be paying attention to that's out there that we can give our voice to.
So we have a growing aging population, but we really haven't modernized our programs like Social Security and Medicare and looked at things like long-term care that more people need as they age. So we need to make sure that those programs are strong and there for the current generation, but also there for future generations as well.
Yeah. And for yourself, obviously doing this work, what has been the greatest satisfaction for you? I mean, having the opportunity to really look in depth and see older adults aging, and then yet and still, there's some great solutions out there and there's some great helps.
So to me, knowledge is power, and learning as much as I did, I realized how much I need to prepare for my future, but also really cherish every day. Make sure I'm investing in my relationships, and also make sure that I'm hopeful.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go, I just want to also get one other thing because a lot has been said about older adults and sometimes their financial worth, but there are economic contributions that are tied to older adults. I want you to just take a moment and share with us a little bit about those things.
Well, older adults are paying taxes, so they help the economy that way. They're buying goods and services. In fact, almost half of every dollar spent is by somebody over age 50. So they're helping to engage our economy. And they're also giving thousands and thousands of volunteer hours. So they're a key driver of our economy. And if you think about older, we have a lot of older workers too. For the first time, we have 5 generations working together. And the knowledge, the mixed generations teams are actually more productive for employers. And so there's a huge value to older people, and we need to take advantage and make sure we're using them in ways that can help the economy, but also help make sure that they have financial security later in life.
Yeah. Deborah Whitman, we're going to leave it there. She is the Executive Vice President and Chief Public Policy Officer of AARP. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All righty, you take care. Now, listen, if you want more information, visit the website at aarp.org/second 50. We encourage you to don't go anywhere. We're back with more open coming up right after this.